Did you know the FBI believes there are as many as 25 serial killers active at any given time? However, the Murder Accountability Project believes that number to be closer to 2,000. Welcome. I'm Jay.
I'm T.
We are Fatal Blend.
This is where we talk about two things we absolutely love. A little bit of coffee and a lot of true crime. Specifically, serial killers.
Well, here we are again.
We are.
Like always. But this time I feel like it's been a long time since we've done this.
Yeah, because it has been. It's been like 3 weeks. Not for you guys, of course. It's been 3 weeks for us. Because Jay was out of the country for 2 weeks for work, so we had to pre-record a bunch. And so now he's back. And this is the first time we're actually recording in literally like 3 weeks.
Yeah. And for those who travel outside of their respective countries, let me know. Slide a DM, send a message, do whatever. Let me know. How do you battle jet lag? What do you do? Because going there was definitely rough. You know, it took me a good week to get it under my belt. Coming back, it's definitely been a lot harder. Taking a lot longer to battle the jet lag.
Well, and it seems like it's not just you that had this issue, though. It's like you traveled with a bunch of people from your work, and it seems like a couple of you just can't handle flying.
Bruh, it's not handling. It's just, it is what it is.
No, it is. You all can't handle it. You fucking babies that take naps at 3 o'clock in the afternoon or noon or can't stay awake past 7 o'clock at night. Like,
let's work on your visa. I'm going to send you over to Vietnam for a couple weeks. Come back. We'll see how you feel.
I fucking guarantee your ass I could handle it. Why? Because I genuinely get less sleep than you do pretty much every night. So, and while you were gone, let's not forget that I was getting like 3 to 4 hours of sleep every night, and that was it.
I feel like that's false because
that's not false.
Last night you fell asleep before me.
Because you stay up till 1:30 and play video games, and I was tired.
And got up after me.
Yeah, one time.
One time? The last 2 days. Thank you very much.
No, it has not. What are you drinking today?
I am drinking apple cider.
Hot apple cider.
Hot. Because it is cold here. It is like 30 degrees.
Yeah.
Been getting down to the 20s.
Yeah.
And I know there's other people that are down there in the cold like that, but it is cold.
It is cold. It is cold. So that brings me to what I'm drinking. I am drinking a peppermint hot chocolate. Now I'm going to tell you, I am not drinking the typical watered down peppermint hot chocolate Swiss Miss packets. I'm talking like real hot chocolate that we make with milk, although I use coconut milk, but coconut milk with some chocolate sauce. And I use a candy cane for the peppermint because I don't know what's going on, but I am like addicted to fucking candy canes this season to the point where I've eaten almost all the candy canes off of our 2 trees that both have candy canes as decoration that I've eaten almost every single one of them. And I will have to buy more before the end of the season.
Don't let her fool you. We've already had to buy more.
We have already had to buy more. And we'll have to do it again.
Yeah.
Anywho, so that's what we're drinking. Other than that, I don't really think there's anything else we're going to get into.
Do you think Costco sells candy canes in bulk?
I wish, but I don't
Amazon?
think they do.
Maybe
I bet Amazon does. We
can
could
get a pallet of candy canes.
Hell yes. Maybe they can last me all the way until next year. So should we just get into who we're going to talk about?
Let's get into it.
So we are talking about a man named Volker Eckert. I'm going to start this off real quick by apologizing because this is definitely not a United States case. So I'm going to butcher some of the names and I apologize. I try really hard not to, but it just doesn't ever seem to work out in my favor. So
we do our best.
His name is Volker Eckert. He is nicknamed the Brummy Killer. He has victims of 9 all the way to 16 potentially. The dates of murder are 1974 to 2006. The location for these murders are France, Spain, Germany, and Italy.
Ooh, all over the place.
Uh-huh. And his method of murder was strangulation, and the characteristics are mutilation and paraphilia. So we're going to get into the background. So Volker Eckert was born July 1st, 1959 in Plauen, Germany. Or Plauen.
I like plowing.
Eckert was the oldest of 3 children. He had a younger brother and a younger sister. Now in the 1960s, so again, he was born in 1959. So and when he was 1, they didn't say exact dates, but sometime in the 1960s, his mom actually kicked his dad out of their apartment. It kind of sounds like they maybe didn't have the best relationship, but there was not any reports of abuse or neglect or anything like that. But there also was not a lot about his younger childhood. It was just that he was born, he was the oldest of 3, and his mom kicked his dad out of their apartment at some point in his life. Now, when he's 9 years old, he actually starts experiencing sexual arousal from stroking the hair of his sister's dolls. And then he moves on to his mom's wigs that were in the attic at their home or at their apartment. And he would get kind of a sexual gratification from this. But see, there comes a point where that's not doing it anymore. And now it's he's looking for somewhere else to get that gratification, which happens to be people, and particularly girls with long hair. Okay. So he starts, and this is what they would call paraphilia, by the way, just for anybody who doesn't know. So this is where this starts coming in. So he starts to realize that he's not getting the same gratifications as he is with the dolls. And so he decides he's going to start looking at other people potentially to try to touch their hair and this kind of stuff. Well, again, not very much is known about his early childhood other than what I've told you, and that there was speculation that he was actually fantasizing about some of his classmates with longer hair. He would spend time staring at the girls in his class, fantasizing about stroking their hair. Now, in 1973, so he's now 13 years old, he actually gets arrested and he is sent to prison after he steals his mother's car and disappears for several weeks. Now, he had just found out that his parents were getting divorced. And so he stole his mom's car and he runs away. And when he gets caught, he spends 18 months in jail for that shit. Could you imagine getting 18 months in prison for stealing your mom's car?
Yeah. What the fuck,
that
Mom?
Seems a little, I was going to say, to me, I'm you don't think the mom stepped in and was hold on, he doesn't need to spend 18 months in jail. We just need to figure out why the fuck he stole my car. But
then again, I think about my kids. You steal my shit and take off for weeks.
I'm not sending them to jail
for 18 months. Bye-bye, motherfucker.
I'm not sending them to jail for 18 months.
Bye-bye.
Plus, my kids aren't going to do that because I'll kill them before I send them to jail for 18 months.
Maybe he was no, my mom's mean.
Take me to jail.
I need to be in jail for 18 months. Because our son would do that. He'd be like, I'll take years.
Please send me to jail. I don't want to deal with my mom.
Let me stay here until she's not mad anymore. So just keep calling her. And when she answers the phone, hello, then I can be released.
And I can be very good at pretending. I'm very good at pretending when I don't have a problem. So in 1975, so now he's 15 years old, he is actually working with his father as a painter. But according to him and his own fucking words, he actually would go out at night and look for suitable women that he could stroke their hair and sexually, do things. Okay, so he's 15 doing this.
Yeah, 15.
Now in 1977, he's now 18 years old and he is actually arrested for the second time. Because remember, he was arrested when he was 13. Now he's arrested because he was caught strangling a woman in the middle of the street at night, strangling her. Okay, so he gets caught. Now he goes to jail and he gets 8 months for sexual assault. So he got more fucking time.
18 months for taking the car.
Stealing a car, his own mother's car. And he only got 8 months for strangling a woman and sexually assaulting her.
This is why I feel like it was him saying he wanted to hide. Because at 18, you're on your own. You don't have to go back home.
So during the time that he actually is going through he's being like he's held in jail and he's like talking. He actually ends up talking to like a psychiatrist guy. And he confesses to the psychiatrist that he's actually really happy that he got caught because he was worried that he would do this again. And he knew for sure that he was got caught. First of all, he got caught strangling her, but the sexual assault came because his DNA was on the woman. So he knew that he was caught. And he was like, oh, thank God, because I thought I'd continue to do this if I didn't. So he goes to jail. But he is, of course, released from prison when he's 19 years old because he only gets fucking 8 months. So, cool. Now, from 1979 to 1987, so that's a long, what, 8 years, 7 years, 8 years? Over a period of 8 years, Eckert attacked more than 30 women at night in Plauen, Germany. So he would roam around at night, find a woman that pleased him, strangle her, attack the shit out of her, throttle her. Didn't kill any of them, though. Now, he would leave them completely unconscious, though, because he would fucking strangle them till they went unconscious. And then he would stroke their hair, and he would get his sexual gratification doing this. So this is basically what he's doing at this point. Now, his parents at some point between this time also pass away. And when this happens, he takes actually the responsibility of taking care of his younger brother and younger sister as well. And he says, for himself anyways, he says that is one of the only things that he did that was acceptable in his life. Okay, so this is his own words. And that was one of the only things he was good at, was taking care of his brother and sister, because he loved his brother and sister very much. Okay, now not too soon after all of this stuff, happens with his parents passing away, he's taken over his brother and sisters. They actually take the brother and sister from him, and they move those two over to live with their aunt, and their aunt raises them for like the next 8 years or something like that. So the one thing he felt he was good at, it got taken away from him.
But it should have been like that from the beginning, based on his record of strangulation.
Well, I mean, he had one record of strangulation.
I don't give a shit.
I'm just saying,
dude strangled a woman in the middle of the street, and you're like, just let him raise the kids. Okay.
Now, in 1987, Eckert attacks a young woman, and
I'm so shocked.
He nearly kills her. So she is 16-year-old Claudia, and she's walking through Plauen, Germany, and he follows her, and he jumps on her, like literally jumps on her, and he attacks her. He strangles her, and then after he strangles her and she goes unconscious, he strokes her hair, because that's what he does, and then he leaves her. He runs off. Now, at this point, she is just unconscious, right? So she ends up waking up, and she files a police report. And she does give a sketch to the police and says, this is the guy who attacked me. This is what he looked like. And the police department's like, showing it around to the people of Plauen, I guess. And the psychiatrist doctor that he had talked to when he strangled the other girl, and he said, thank God, recognizes him. And he tells the police, like, I know that guy. His name is Volker Eckert. He's already been arrested once for strangling a woman. And he said that he felt he would do it again. So this is probably your guy. And they're like, cool, let's find out who he is. So they go and find out where he lives. They arrest him. And he is charged with attempted murder of Claudia. Now in 1988, so a year later, he is tried for attempted murder of Claudia. He's 29 years old. And he is found guilty, and he is given a 12-year sentence in prison. But now why is it that he could still kill some people if he went to prison for 12 years, you might ask?
Because he doesn't spend the whole 12 years there.
Oh, you're catching on.
Bing, 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 bing.
Now, while he's in prison, he does see a psychiatrist in the prison because, that's what they do, right? And
it's all about rehabilitation.
They spend like a whole whopping fucking few hours with him, which literally means he spent like a couple sessions with a psychiatrist. And that psychiatrist was like, yeah, he's all right. Sure. He's not a danger to society. When his time is done, he's good. So in July of 1994, Eckert is released from prison after serving just 6.5 years. Because he's fine. There's nothing wrong. He's fine.
To do what? He gets released to do what?
Well,
To do it again.
in 1999, so it's 5 years later now, he actually becomes a truck driver. Okay, so this is what he does. Now, he ends up using his truck driving career as a way to attract prostitutes, to live out his sexual fantasies, and yeah, you guessed it, to murder more people. So we're going to jump into murders. Now, here's the thing. We're going to jump backwards for a hot minute, okay? Okay. Because, again, 1999, he becomes a truck driver. However, his very first murder was actually May 7th of 1974. Eckert is 14, actually. And he lures one of his classmates, her name was Sylvia, into her attic at her home. And he strangles her with a curtain cord. And she fights him because she's like, get the fuck off me, bro. And he's like, not today. So he strangles and tightens his grip on the cord, and she does die. She dies. And he then takes the opportunity to go ahead and stroke her hair.
Of course.
And he then makes it look like her death was a suicide by taking a cord, wrapping around her neck, and then wrapping the cord around the door handle of the attic door. Now, he does gain sexual gratification from this murder because he goes home and masturbates to the fact that he just murdered this girl and stroked her hair and all that stuff. Once her body was found, they actually labeled her death as a suicide. And Eckert goes on and lives his motherfucking life with no remorse and no problems. So again, first murder, he's 14. In 1999, he becomes a truck driver, and this is where he begins to find and murder women. So all of the women that he murdered were prostitutes that he had met while on the road, and majority of them were strangled. And he would also perform amateur post-mortems on them. And then he would photograph them. And then he would sometimes dress up their bodies and photograph them. Sometimes he would cut off their hair, and he would keep the hair as a trophy in his truck or his apartment, along with all of the Polaroids that he took. So he had trophies. So because we've gone down this road before, people, because they were prostitutes, we all know they're not taken as seriously. There's not a lot of information about their death. So I'm just going to list them. So I'm just going to name the dates and the times and basically the description, because again, as we've seen before in the past, when they're prostitutes, they just don't matter to pretty much anybody ever. So except for, the people who loved them dearly, but whatever. It's very frustrating. Sorry. It's very frustrating every time I come across a story with prostitutes. Anyways. So June 25th, 2001, a Kenyan prostitute is killed. Now this is where I'm going to fuck the names up. So I'm sorry. Near Cherminac, near the city of Bordeaux in Western France. Then October 9th, 2001, 24-year-old Beatrice Diaz Munoz. She was also a prostitute. She is killed in Macanet de la Selva, which is, I think, in Spain. Then on March 1st, 2005, a Russian prostitute is killed. Sant Sadurní Diaz Mordo in Catalonia, in the Catalonia region of northeastern Spain. October 2nd, 2006, a 28-year-old Polish prostitute is killed in Reims, France. And November 2nd, 2006, a 21-year-old woman named Miglena Petrova. She's a Bulgarian prostitute, and she was killed in Hostelric in Catalonia, Spain. Miglena's husband actually came out later and said, first of all, she's not a prostitute. She never has been. Second of all, we were expecting a child. She's my wife. So there is a chance that some of these women may not have actually been prostitutes. So I'm going to go on record and say that I believe her husband when he says she was not a sex worker. I definitely don't think she was, but that's just, she was classified as one. So those are the women that he kills. Now, after the murder of Miglena Petrova, they are like looking for some way somehow to catch this man or person who's killing these prostitutes. Now, I don't even think, honestly, that they thought they were connected because they were all in different areas. So I don't think they were like, oh, we have a serial killer. Now, they found CCTV footage, which actually caught Eckert's truck next to the body of Petrova. Now, the thing that's really interesting about the CCTV footage is that the cameras were currently, like at that time, being put in. So they were like kind of recording, but they weren't recording because they were supposed to be. They were actually in the middle of like installing them. And it happened to accidentally be recording in the area where this truck was. And I actually think that the reason why is because they hadn't been fully installed. So it was recording, but it was recording at like a weird area or a weird angle where the cameras actually would not have normally been. So they see this truck, and on the CCTV footage, they report it to the Catalonian police, and they're like, hey, hold on. We have this video right where her body was. There was like this semi truck there. Like this is what it looks like. Come look at it. And so they look at the truck, and they're able to, I guess the truck must have had like identifying marks or something, because they were able to link that specific truck with Volker Eckert. They were actually able to find that out. They figure out it's Volker, or at least his truck, and they end up looking for him. They end up finding him. They detain him in Wessling near Cologne, Germany on November 17th, 2006. Now he is brought in for questioning, and in the beginning he like denies everything. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, that's my truck, but no. I mean, my imagination would be he's probably like, I stopped to pee, or whatever. I didn't know the body was there. I don't know. So anyway, so he says no, like whatever. So they're talking to him and they're asking him. Now the story goes, and if this is real, I'm like, bro, you're dumb. So the story goes that during his interrogation, he ends up getting a headache while he's being interrogated. So he actually asks one of the police officers, like, hey, can you please go to my truck and I have headache medication in the truck for I think it was like a migraine. Can you please go get it? They say, sure. Okay. So the police officer climbs into his truck, starts looking for this medication, and lo and fucking behold, he finds tufts of hair and pictures of women in this truck. And obviously at that point, they're like, bro, what you been doing? And so this triggers for them to be able to also search his home and the rest of the truck. So they end up searching everything, and they find tufts of hair at both the home and the truck. They find pictures, Polaroid pictures of these women who obviously are dead in the pictures. And these are women who are the women that they have already, seen. So they bring all this to him, and he's like, yeah, okay. Yep. Yes, I killed the 5 sex workers in France and Spain. Okay, that was me. But also, I killed my classmate when I was 14 years old, too. So he admits to killing his classmate, and he explains.
Decides to come clean.
Yeah, he just came clean. Now, on July 2nd, 2007, so this is like 7 months later, he's waiting, to be put on trial and be charged with the murder. And he's actually found dead in his cell. He died by suicide. Now, after further investigations after his death, because they still were looking at shit, they found enough evidence that suggested that he'd actually killed another 9 women and possibly 4 more, not including the 6 women that he confessed to. Okay, so
that's probably why he did it, because he knew shit was just unraveling.
Well, and they say that, like, when they say they found evidence, they're talking like they found more pictures, and like they found hardcore evidence that he killed more women. Now, 5 months after his death, they decided to close the investigation and close the case, and it's over. So nobody fucking won in this scenario, because nobody was held accountable. The women whose family members the family members of the women who were killed, some of them don't even have closure as to whether or not their loved one was really murdered or not. And there's a lot of speculation about it. So he took the coward's way out and just decided he was going to end his life before giving any fucking closure to anybody but the 6 people that he admitted to.
Well, I hope dude doesn't believe in God, because that's not where he's going.
I don't think so. Now, there are some shots. There's not a ton of shots, but this is kind of a shorter one because, again, I don't go into these with like, oh, let's find the best cases I can. I just pick randomly, and Volker Eckert was the one I picked, and his story is interesting, but there's just not a ton of information. So it's kind of a shorter one, but I do have some shots. Would you like to hear them?
I would love to hear him.
Okay. So Volker Eckert is actually believed to have been responsible for 7 other murders throughout Europe. Now, in April, they don't have, again, they didn't give all the information, but they gave just a little snippet. So April of 1987, an 18-year-old was killed in Plauen, Germany. They think he is responsible for that. August 2002, a 23-year-old prostitute from Sierra Leone is killed in Troyes, France. They think he's responsible for that. September 2005, a 25-year-old prostitute from Ghana is killed in Risotto, Italy, or maybe risotto. I don't even fucking know. 4 other women that were found in the Czech Republic and 1 woman in France. Now, these are all women that they were able to look into and go, we're pretty fucking, and it's not, they don't have pictures. Now, they don't have pictures of these women, but these women's deaths are so similar to all these other people's deaths that they're like, okay, we could see the connection here. And again, there's also pictures of women that they definitely know he killed. Now, when he was arrested for the murders, he supposedly said, I am so crazy that I am alleviated for the arrest, which is kind of similar to what he said when he got arrested the second time when he attacked the woman. So according to what everybody's saying, or what he's been telling people, is that he can't help himself. So being arrested is the best fucking thing for him. Right?
That's what they all say.
Well, they don't all say that. So I actually feel relieved when I hear of people, specifically serial killers, that say, thank you, because I can't control myself. Because at least they recognize that they can't control themselves. At least they recognize that what they're doing is not okay.
Well,
he didn't feel bad.
Then turn your ass in.
Well, obviously not. Like, duh. So he says that he's happy. He's happy that he gets arrested. They arrest him. They're doing all the searches and stuff. Well, when they were searching, his house and his truck and stuff, they actually used over 40 police officers, and they were able to take things like receipts, credit card transactions, gas payments, and even satellite traffic images to place him in the locations, all these different locations that these women were found. And they were able to link him with 6 murders for sure, on top of what he had confessed to. So they were able to do the 6 that he confessed. For sure, 6 more murders because of these like transactions and satellite footages, and 40 violent assaults that had been reported as well. So he wasn't just killing women. He was violently assaulting women. I genuinely can tell you, my honest opinion is that he wasn't going out to kill people. He was just accidentally killing people. Like, to me, he was not going out there and going, I want to kill women. He was going out there to get his sexual gratification. He would strangle them, and sometimes they would die. And when they died, he'd do all this extra stuff to them. But I don't think his whole goal was to always go out and kill people. If they died, it was no big deal to him, and he'd take it a little farther. But the fact that he had assaulted 40 women that they know of, and after they arrested him in 2006, they came out with a public plea saying, if you have seen this man, if you've been assaulted by this man, if you've done this or that, these are all the things that this is what he looks like, this is what he's doing, please come forward, please tell me, whatever. So they know that. And the final shot is he killed himself on his birthday. Now, supposedly before he killed himself, he was extremely upset about how he was being portrayed in the media. He was upset about how he looked to people. And he was even more upset because his sister had basically wanted nothing to do with him and refused to see him in prison. And she had been really close, like they had been really close their entire life. And so he was really upset by that because she thought he was a monster and she wanted nothing to do with him. And so they think that is actually why he killed himself. They're really thinking it's not because he was like, oh, I'm ashamed of what I did. They don't even think it's really because he was upset with how he was being portrayed. The reason they know he was upset is because after they started talking about him, like the police and the news, and he realized what they were saying about him, he actually told the cops, I refuse, you will never talk to me again. You'll never hear another word out of my mouth. You can only hear shit from my lawyer. That's it. You will not hear anything from me. So he was mad and withholding information. But what did it for him was he had asked his sister, to come visit him and talk to him. And she was like, are you fucking playing with me? You're a goddamn monster, sir. And he was like, that really took him. That took him.
it also makes me wonder if, because he got the gratification of the stroking the hair and was, fantasizing about it all the time, and it was something he really wanted to do, being in jail again, I wonder if like, he was in jail the first time, he got out after 6.5 years, if it was like hard for him because he couldn't do that, or whatever the case may be, and part of it was, I don't want to go back to that again.
I don't know. I think that again, he had an obsession, a sexual obsession, the paraphilia stuff. That's also, though, why I said I don't think he was purposely going out and killing, because he wasn't getting sexual gratification from killing the women. He was getting gratification from stroking their hair.
But after he choked them.
But I don't think, I don't know. But I think that if the women would have just laid there and let him stroke their hair, I think he might have been okay with that. It was the actual stroking of the hair that would give him the sexual gratification.
So I wonder if he thought, I have to...
Well, women didn't want anything to do with him.
Yeah, so I wonder if what he thought is, I have to render this woman unconscious.
Right. She's basically got to be like a doll. I'm going to stroke her hair. But I don't think, like I said, I don't think he was purposely... he killed women, so he fucking killed them.
Ooh, do you think it was because of the dolls? He wanted them to not be lifelike?
So I thought about that, because the other thing was, I had read that early on. So he started with his sister's dolls. Then he went to wigs, his mom's wigs.
Yeah.
And then he created his own dolls.
Yeah, nothing
was alive. But then that wasn't enough for him. And now he wanted real humans. But I don't think he wanted real humans. He wanted
real human hair, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just one of those things. It's just,
so maybe it's like, you've seen episodes of Criminal Minds and stuff where people create.
There is an episode on
dolls.
Yes, there's an episode on Criminal Minds where they, this guy like kidnaps girls, and he uses a drug and an IV system and sets them up around the table like they're dolls, and that's just what he does. Like he keeps them like that. It's the weirdest thing, but yeah, it's kind of like that. So I think regardless, he killed women. And he killed himself. So goodbye, sir. No, actually don't have a nice death. Good riddance. Glad you're gone. But I don't think, because he said things like...
What did this dude look like?
He was kind of creepy. I'm not even going to lie. He was kind of... Volker Eckert. He was creepy. There's no getting around it. That motherfucker was creepy looking. Anyways, I just think that he had an obsession, and it became a dangerous obsession, because his obsession was to strangle him, but he'd strangle him to death sometimes. And I think there's a lot, because there is a lot more assaults on women than there was deaths. I think the deaths were a problem, but if you notice, again, he took their hair. Now, if he really was getting like gratification on killing the women, he would have killed every single woman he came across, because he strangled them all to unconsciousness. So if he really wanted to kill him, he'd just keep strangling. But he didn't. He'd strangle them, stroke their hair, and leave. But if they died, then he would do stuff like take their hair, take pictures of them. And of course, he's taking pictures of them because it probably helps him relive.
Yeah, and he is... What's the nicest... I don't like to talk bad about people's looks, but...
I do. No,
definitely is not a Casanova to where he can get women to stroke their hair.
And he was not... they did say that he was like... Honestly, he was a loner. He never had a girlfriend. He didn't have friends. So he was definitely not the type of person that could go out and just like Rico Suave these women and have them falling on their knees for him. This is why they think this is also why he focused strictly on prostitutes or people who are very poor, they even said, because he would throw money at them and then strangle them. Like, it's not like he wasn't like attacking prostitutes out of nowhere. Like, he would accept a prostitute and then do these things. Sometimes they would die, sometimes they would not.
Well, and there's also a show called World's Most Evil Killers, and there's an episode with him on it.
Yep. He's like episode 3 or some shit. Yeah. Yep. So anyways, that is the story of Volker Eckert.
Just one last comment on that. As you were describing it, yes, he killed a lot of people. Bad. Lots of serial killers out there. But to call him one of the most evil killers, it's interesting.
I think they call him an evil killer because He has no remorse.
Maybe the most creepy killer.
No, well, he had no remorse, and he would never have stopped, right? And he didn't. It's not like he was out there. He was able to go out at night and find prostitutes and kill them when he wanted to, and because he was driving as a trucker all over the European continent, it was really hard to catch him. And so, again, for him to be caught and then say something like, oh, so glad you caught me because, my God, I couldn't stop myself. That, to me, every time I've heard somebody say, don't let me out because I'll kill again, I appreciate that you're telling us this, but you scare me more than somebody who doesn't say that, because it makes me think, well, one, I believe you, because if you've already been killing people, we all know you're going to do it again. But two, the fact that you have enough wherewithal in your brain to admit the fact that you cannot control your urge to kill somebody or your urge to do something is scarier to me than somebody who like is a serial killer but is killing because they're greedy as fuck and they just want money. There's a difference. There's a big difference. And he is the kind of killer that I don't think nothing could have stopped this guy from doing this.
Well, it's
so
like,
I can see why he's considered. But again, that TV show might have like 85 episodes.
Right.
So he could be one of like 85 serial killers. They're all fucking terrible.
But it makes me wonder if, like, can we create a questionnaire? Can we create a lie detector test for truck drivers that is just a simple question? Do you have serial killer tendencies? Because honestly, how many have ended up, and granted, you look at the number of truck drivers that are out there, by far it outweighs the good versus the bad, but it's not the first one, definitely not the last one, and probably some out there that still haven't been caught.
So I feel like there's a couple of industries that people could work in that are like the prime industry for serial killers.
Flight attendant.
I was just going to say somebody who either is a pilot or a flight attendant, because you travel. Truck drivers would be another. Anybody who travels a lot. Yeah. Because you can kill in the places you want to kill and not really leave your mark there.
Right. And like, that's the thing is people who kill in their like vicinity, they have like a dumping ground, or they have common things that tie them all together. The only thing that's really tied, people together on like these truckers and stuff is the MO. So like the way they put the body or what they do to the body is really the only way to tie it. It's not a common dumping ground or anything like that. It's just, and then it takes longer to figure out, because if it's in multiple states or multiple countries, they're not necessarily talking to each other on a daily basis saying, hey, I got this murder. What do you guys got?
It kind of reminds me, now, to be fair, this guy wasn't working in the industry, in like a specific industry or anything. But there is a serial killer that we will do at some point, and his name is Israel Keys. And one of the things that he did, he actually at some point had like mailed, I haven't done all the research. He either mailed it or brought it with him at some point to Vermont. So he ended up killing, like, I think he killed 3 people, I think, but this was the MO for this guy. So thank God they got him when they did. And also, he's a garbage pail kid. But anyways,
bad man.
So he had gone to Vermont earlier, like a couple years earlier. And while he was there, he actually buried what he called his murder kit. And he went back there a couple years later, used that murder kit, unburied it to go kill somebody. That's the kind of stuff he would do. He would pre-plan and calculate different areas where he was planning on potentially killing somebody. And he would go there, or he would mail it, go there, get it, and bury it somewhere so that he didn't have to do. So it's like that, like he was.
Yeah, it's a lot of pre-planning.
Right. He did a lot of pre-planning. So I think about somebody like him too, where it's like, that's scary too, because he knew that he was going to kill somebody at some point. I don't know who he was killing. I don't think he knew who he was killing, but he would have ideas, and that's how he would do things. Now he was not in a career where he was traveling all the time, but just think if you were a flight attendant, like.
Yeah, you could have that go back anywhere.
Especially because flight attendants sometimes have like a 12-hour turnaround, right? So they fly, they have 12 hours off, and then they turn around. Just think about that. I'm not trying to give ideas. So if any of you out here are flight attendants or truckers and you're thinking about killing somebody, don't fucking do it. That's not okay.
And for you flight
Get some
attendants
help.
and truck drivers, we're not saying all of you are like that.
I'm saying none of you are like that.
I've met a ton of people
I'm not
that
saying
are cool.
anybody's
I'm
like
just
that.
saying,
What I'm saying is, if
those
you're
are-
gonna be a murderer,
those are opportunities.
those are the opportunistic careers. And those are the careers that I always feel like the police and the FBI should really pay attention to who's getting into those careers.
As
That's
I just
all
got
I'm
back
saying.
from Vietnam.
Yeah, but you go like once a fucking
Yeah.
year
Well,
out
no,
of the
it
country.
had been like 6 years.
I know, but I'm saying like with your work, you guys go like once every 6 months to a year that you go out of the country, and then you may travel a little bit within the United States. But I'm talking like there's careers out there where people are traveling every other day, or not day. Sometimes actually every other day. So those are the careers that I'm like, yeah, which to be fair, flight attendants and flight pilots, I'm pretty sure they have to do some extensive background checks for those. So that might be helpful.
And I'll tell you what, it wouldn't surprise me with flight attendants because of shit that they have to put up with.
People are assholes.
I feel for y'all. I
People
try
are
to stick up
jerks.
for flight attendants as much as I can.
Listen,
Because people are dicks.
I'm the one on the plane, not playing. I am the one on the plane that, when you're getting ready to take off and they're doing the seat belts and wearing the fucking, the emergency exits. I'm the one who's staring at the flight attendant because I think it's so rude. Nobody pays attention because you've all flown before. So it's like, I'm the one who's sitting there watching the flight attendant because I'm like, well, that's rude. Nobody's looking at the flight attendant. So I will look at the flight attendant.
It's where's
and
your
you are one of those rude ass people.
It's where's your flotation.
You never fucking watch them.
I don't.
Never.
You know how many airplanes I've been on?
Courtesy, friend. Just look at them so that they know you're paying
I
attention.
give them the courtesy of giving them my full attention and saying yes because I'm in an exit row.
No.
But other than that, like, I get it. I know where my flotation device is. I know to put my mask on before putting on the person next to me, and I know where the exits are.
I know all that stuff too, but I'm still gonna give them
know where
the
the
courtesy
exits are
of
because
staring
I'm
at them.
sitting at one of them.
I think it's rude because I think it's rude when people don't look at me when I'm talking to them. I think it's rude.
I guarantee they don't want to be stared at.
I'm sure, but they'd probably like it if people actually kind of paid attention. But anyways, regardless,
it's the people who bitch and moan about their drinks, about the person next to them, about like, oh, just shut up and fly.
I guess if you have a career that's going to turn you into a serial killer, that might be the one.
Could be because
I'd be the one.
I definitely a couple of people.
To be honest with you, I think flight attendants and really flight attendants, because pilots don't really deal with it. I think flight attendants, along with customer service industry, are the two industries that should be allowed to have a purge day. And not purge like kill somebody. I don't mean that. I mean purge day as in you should be allowed to say whatever the fuck you want to. You should be allowed to be as rude as you want to. You should be able to be allowed to kick people out of a restaurant or off of a plane.
One purge flight is what they should. One purge flight a month. Because honestly, you can see it in their faces there. Sometimes they want to tell that person to just shut the up. Mm-hmm. And they're just, yep, okay. And a lot of it, what I see a lot is like, when the seatbelt light is on for turbulence or whatever, people are like, oh, I'm going to get up and go to the bathroom. I'm going to...
Drives me
We're not
nuts.
even at 10,000 feet and somebody's unbuckling and they're like, I'm going to get my bag. It's like, dude, what the fuck?
Oh, check this. And then...
Like, if I was the pilot, I know it doesn't exist, but I'd hit the brakes.
We're so far off topic, but I have to say this and then we'll let y'all go.
Sorry for the rant.
But... I saw a TikTok of this girl who's like 23, 24 years old, and she's like filming herself in the bathroom on an airplane. And she's like, wow, it's like I'm in the bathroom right now and it's so like bumpy. Like the turbulence is so bad that I don't want to get up because I'm afraid to walk to my seat. Finally, the turbulence stops and she goes to walk out of the bathroom and they had landed the plane. So people gave her why did you get up? Blah, blah. And she goes, well, they said that they were going to be, I had my headphones on and I didn't hear them say that we were going to be on the descent. The seatbelt light was on, but it's on for half the flight anyways. I just got up and went to the bathroom. And all I could think of is, and not one flight attendant, not one. They were probably like, your funeral, bitch.
She probably had her headphones on. And
they might have
probably
said something, but she
I've
ignored
definitely heard the flight attendants yell at people because we've been coming down to land and I see people get up to go to the bathroom and they're like, dude, sit down.
Yeah.
There are some people that are like, oh, and sit down. And there are other people that'll look right at them and be like, pfft.
Yeah. And
I'm like, I hope you get poop on you.
Well, and literally, she said it was so fucking scary. And I'm like, well, obviously, but also.
The turbulence was you hitting the ground.
But also, ma'am, Are you shitting me right now? You
No,
really,
literally,
you
she was
really
shitting.
did. Like but that was her because people are like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, why? And she was like, "No, I had my headphones on. I never heard them say that. The dissent, blah blah blah." And it's like, okay, well, listen, okay, I don't feel bad for you.
Well, and
Like,
the
I
flight
just
attendants
don't.
should have a manifest, and they check all the seats and they check the bathrooms repeatedly before landing. So she had to get up after
That's
they
what
were
I'm
on
saying.
the
No,
descent.
that's what I'm saying. That is well. And how do you not know?
Yeah.
Ma'am, they come through with garbage bags multiple times.
Yeah.
They
First
come
time
through.
flying.
They come through and tell you to put your table trays back into the
And I
upright position.
understand
Bitch, I don't believe you. I think you lie.
I
I
understand
think
you were.
knew it.
I understand you were worried.
Nah.
And I know we're digressing, but I understand you were worried about the turbulence going back to your seat. But I'd rather be tossed
my
around
seat?
walking to my seat than being tossed around in a bathroom.
No shit.
So
I
stop
don't
saying
know.
what it is
What did we-
because you were filming yourself.
I
You were
was just
trying to
gonna
get
say-
yourself on
I was gonna
TikTok.
say she did it for the
Move
gram.
on.
She did it for the
Move
gram.
on. And with that, moving on,
Yes.
we will say the usual. Follow us.
Yes.
DM
Follow
us.
us.
Talk
do
to
the
us.
Things.
Have fun.
Have all the things. Do all the things. We will obviously catch you next week. And this is where I'm going to say goodbye.
And I will say bye-bye.